45,000 people just unwittingly revealed something hidden in their blood that changes everything we thought we knew about aging. Not their DNA, not their cells, their proteins. And what scientists found in those proteins should terrify anyone over 50. Because it turns out your brain might be 20 years older than your birth certificate says. Think about that for a second. You're sitting there, maybe 50 years old, feeling pretty good about yourself. But floating in your bloodstream right now are proteins screaming that your brain is actually 70. And here's what nobody's telling you. That aged brain isn't just affecting your memory. It's orchestrating your entire body's decline, pulling strings like some biological puppet master deciding when you die. Stanford scientists just published this in Nature Medicine. They analyzed blood from nearly 45,000 people. That's not a typo, 45,000. And discovered they could read the biological age of 11 different organs just from proteins floating in blood. Your heart could be young while your liver is ancient. Your lungs could be sprightly while your brain is decrepit. We're not aging uniformly. We're falling apart piece by piece, organ by organ. But two organs stood out like warning sirens: the brain and the immune system. If these two are old, you're basically done. The numbers are staggering. An aged brain triples your Alzheimer's risk. Triples it. That's like carrying the worst genetic mutation for Alzheimer's, except this isn't genetic. It's happening right now in your blood. Meanwhile, people with youthful brain proteins, they had a 74% lower risk of Alzheimer's. 74%. And it gets darker. The study tracked these people for 17 years. Those with aged brains didn't just get dementia, they died. Period. Nearly triple the death rate compared to those with young brains. The brain wasn't just predicting brain disease. It was predicting heart failure, lung disease, everything. Like the brain was sending out death signals to the rest of the body. Dr. Tony Whiskaray, who led this research, put it bluntly: the brain is the gatekeeper of longevity. If you've got an old brain, you have an increased likelihood of mortality. If you've got a young brain, you're probably going to live longer. Now combine that with an aged immune system, and your mortality risk shoots up even higher. But here's where it gets interesting and slightly hopeful. Those rare individuals with both a young brain and a young immune system, they had a 56% lower risk of death. Over 17 years of tracking, only 3.8% of them died, compared to nearly 8% of normal agers. Think about what this means. Your blood is carrying a report card right now, grading each of your organs, and most of us are failing at least one class. In fact, the study found that 1/3 of people had at least one organ aging significantly faster than it should. 1/3. But wait, it gets more personal. Men's organs age faster than women's across the board. Smokers? Their organs looked years older. Heavy drinkers? Same story. Poor sleep? Aged organs. Low education? Aged organs. Even living in poverty literally ages your organs faster. The proteins don't lie. Here's what really caught my attention, though. They found specific things that correlated with younger organs. Not what you'd expect either. Sure, exercise helped. Vigorous exercise made brains appear 1 to 3 years younger. Eating fish helped. But then things got weird. Vitamin C users had younger organs. Cod liver oil, that nasty stuff your grandmother forced down your throat, was linked to younger brains and kidneys. But regular fish oil pills? Nothing. Glucosamine, that joint supplement, associated with younger organs across the board. And here's the real shocker: ibuprofen. Regular ibuprofen users had younger brain, kidney, and pancreas profiles. Before you run to the medicine cabinet, remember this is correlation, not causation. But it's fascinating because back in 2014, scientists found ibuprofen extended lifespan in yeast, worms, and flies by 15%. Now we're seeing hints of the same pattern in humans. The researchers also discovered that hormone replacement therapy in postmenopausal women kept their immune systems younger. Women who went through early menopause showed accelerated aging in most organs, but if they took estrogen, some of that aging was reversed. Now I need to be straight with you about something. This is observational data. They're not saying pop vitamin C and live forever. They're showing associations. But the associations are so strong, so consistent across 45,000 people, that it's hard to ignore. What's revolutionary here is the concept itself. We've been thinking about aging like it's this uniform process. You get older, everything declines together. Wrong. Dead wrong. You might have the heart of a 30-year-old and the brain of an 80-year-old, and that brain is calling the shots. The proteins tell the story. In young brains, they found high levels of proteins that maintain synapses and neural connections. In old brains, inflammatory proteins, breakdown products, markers of white matter deterioration. It's like comparing a well-maintained highway system to one full of potholes and collapsed bridges. And these proteins change. 68% of people who started with extremely aged or youthful organs shifted categories over time. This isn't set in stone. It's dynamic, modifiable. Stanford has already licensed this technology to 2 startup companies. Within 2 to 3 years, they're planning to offer blood tests that tell you the age of your organs. Imagine going to your doctor and getting a report. Your chronological age is 50, but your brain is 65, your heart is 45, and your immune system is 70. Terrifying? Maybe. But also potentially life-saving. Because if you know your brain is aging fast, you can do something about it. The lifestyle factors matter. Exercise, diet, sleep, stress management. They all show up in the proteins. But let's not get carried away. This test isn't magic. Dr. Pal Patcher from the NIH warns there's still too much noise in the data. The UK Biobank participants were mostly white, relatively healthy people. We don't know if this applies equally to all populations. And having one blood test tell you your brain is old doesn't mean you're doomed. Remember, 68% of extreme agers shifted status over time. There's another catch. The study found something odd. Being extremely youthful in multiple organs didn't provide extra benefit. Only brain and immune youth mattered for longevity. Having a super young liver or ultra youthful kidneys? Nice, but not life-extending. It's almost like the body has designated the brain and immune system as the control centers, and everything else is just along for the ride. This aligns with something we've seen in lab animals for years. When scientists manipulate certain neurons in worms, flies, and mice, they can extend lifespan dramatically. The brain appears to send aging or anti-aging signals throughout the body. Now we're seeing the same thing in humans. The mechanism probably involves inflammation. Aged brains showed high levels of inflammatory proteins that spill into the bloodstream. The brain and immune system create a feedback loop. An inflamed brain promotes body-wide inflammation, which ages the immune system, which allows more inflammation, which further ages the brain. A vicious cycle written in proteins. Breaking that cycle might be the key to longevity, and we might already have some tools. Exercise reduces inflammation. So does good sleep. Certain dietary patterns. Maybe even strategic use of anti-inflammatories, though we need proper trials before recommending that. What strikes me is how this mirrors ancient human survival. Our ancestors who survived catastrophes, ice ages, volcanic winters. They needed robust brains to adapt and strong immune systems to handle new pathogens. Those who age faster in these systems didn't make it. We're seeing evolution's report card in these proteins. In a world where we're worried about global instability, where nuclear facilities are being attacked and new threats emerge daily, understanding how to preserve our biological resilience feels more urgent than ever. Our ancestors faced existential threats with strong brains and immune systems. We might need the same. The research has limitations. It's a snapshot, not a movie. One blood test tells you where you are, not how fast you're moving. The protein measurements could be influenced by recent illness, medications, even what you ate that day. And we still don't know if actively trying to youthen your proteins will actually extend life. That requires intervention studies that haven't been done yet. But the sheer scale of this study, 45,000 people tracked for up to 17 years, gives it weight. When you see the same patterns repeated across that many individuals, across different diseases, across different outcomes, it's hard to dismiss. So what do you do with this information? You can't get the test yet, but you can look at what correlated with younger brains and immune systems. Exercise, especially vigorous exercise. Eating fish. Quality sleep. Not smoking. Moderate alcohol at most. Managing stress. Maybe certain supplements, though the evidence there is correlation, not causation. More importantly, you can shift your thinking. You're not aging uniformly. Your brain and immune system are running the show. Protect them, and you protect everything else. Let them decline, and they'll drag your entire body down with them. The proteins floating in your blood right now are writing your future. The question is, what story are they telling? And more unsettling, do you really want to know? The blood never lies.